Welcome to the Halliwell Manor. I'm Max.
And I'm Tina.
And we are here to discuss Season 5, Episode 22 of Charmed.
Oh my goddess. Part 1.
Yes. Yeah, two-parter.
Yeah, also I almost said, oh my goddess, like the anime manga.
Oh, wow. That's like an early one, right? That's like if you were renting like Trigun from Blockbuster, Oh My Goddess would be one of the ones that was there.
Well, it's from when I was in college, that's when it was popular, which is definitely the renting Trigun from Blockbuster era of anime. Yes, yes.
Yeah. Wow. Huh.
Which is also this era.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is why for a second I thought that was the episode title, but no, it's Oh My Goddess.
Yeah. It's wordplay, kind of. I mean...
It's as much wordplay as any other episode. Okay. Here's the question.
Yeah.
As we all know, my pet theory...
Yes.
...is that the reason we never see Prue's ghost is because Prue is reincarnated as Chris. So her spirit is not in heaven, it is inside of Chris.
Yes.
But, due to time travel shenanigans... could, theoretically, Prue's ghost still appear simultaneously with Chris, since he's from the future here, and has not yet been,
reincarnated?
Yeah,
He hasn't been born yet, so Prue's soul's in the ether waiting for Piper to squeeze out the second baby.
Right. I'm trying to remember with time travel, though, when you travel back to before you had... Wait a second! Chris shouldn't have any powers!
Yeah. Chris should not have powers. That is a big thing in Charmed. If you travel back to before you were born, you don't have powers.
Molecular combustion? I mean, maybe it's different because he's part white later?
No, I think they throw in a line about it in the episode with his girlfriend who's like one of the Phoenix witches. I think she talks about how she's like, oh yeah, I made you that special potion or whatever because we're halfway through the season and people have noticed that doesn't make any sense.
Anyway, here's the thing. Chris is here!
Yes, we've been waiting for this for so long. We are officially out of the Cole era of Charmed and into the Chris era, because even though this show's about women and women power, we define its eras through men.
I'm sorry, I just love Chris so much. Also, you may have noticed already, we are not playing or dancing around with spoiling who Chris is.
I feel like we've been talking about Chris since season 1.
I love Chris!
Oh yeah, no, Chris is amazing. I love Chris.
Now, despite the fact that I maintain that the show had no idea who Chris was when he was introduced, we know who he is and we're not going to pretend otherwise.
Yeah, this is Piper and Leo's second child, Chris.
Oh no.
What?
I'm sorry, this is such an obvious thing, I can't believe it never occurred to me before.
Uh-huh.
Because we know that coming up there's a weird thing where he kind of flirts with Phoebe, because they literally did not know that Chris was going to be Piper and Leo's son. There's absolutely no way the writers knew what they were doing at this point.
I mean, in the Power of Three Blondes episode, it's implied that he slept with one of the women who was posing as his aunt.
Yeah, but it's like the thing where Luke and Leia kiss in the first Star Wars, because they didn't actually know what they were doing at that point. George Lucas did not actually have everything plotted out, despite what he says.
One of my favorite things about that 70s show is that Eric Foreman is a huge Star Wars fan, and he is adamant that Leia and Luke are going to end up together.
That's funny. But I can't believe that, even though I know that Chris flirts with Phoebe and it's weird and creepy because of who he is.
Yeah.
It had not occurred to me that the reason his name is Chris is because the writers were giving themselves the opportunity for him to be the person that Phoebe was foretold she would end up with the apple peel.
God, remember, I forgot about that.
Let me remind our listeners that she did the apple peel spell back in the past, and so she knows that the initial of her true love will be C, and obviously at the time was hinting at Cole, and then she ends up with Coop. But clearly they named him Chris so that he could possibly be that person, right?
Ugh. Bad news for her boss, right? What's her boss's name again?
Jason.
Yeah. Sucks for you, Jason. Also, Dax, barf.
Jason's busy. Remember, in this episode, he's flown to the other side of the world for 2 months, so Phoebe can't possibly be with him anymore. And anyway, he has to go take a job as a plastic surgeon at Seattle Grace Mercy West so that he can die in a plane crash.
Yes, Phoebe, having foreseen this with her totally real precognitive powers that super exist, everyone.
Okay, you might end up cutting what I'm about to say because this is like even more tangential than our normal tangents.
Is it about how embarrassing it is that this episode hinges on one of the charmed ones having psychic visions of the future and it's not Phoebe?
Yes. But it's not just that. It's how, you know how we have our secret powers?
Yes.
How we maybe should have had a secret power that involved, like, some sort of secret power that's like a real premonition, like a premonition given to us by Paige instead of by Phoebe. I don't know what that would even be.
Because she called the Cole thing back using tarot cards way back in the day, back in season 4.
Someone in this episode even calls it out that Paige is not the one who's supposed to have precognitive powers, and Leo, I think, is like, oh no, it's different. She's just using tarot and I Ching. It's totally different. Oh my god. We briefly talked about in our last episode about what would have happened if Alyssa Milano had left instead of Shannon Doherty, and I maintain Paige as the precognitive one would have been really interesting.
Yeah.
Because she literally is!
I mean, the whole dynamic would have been really different because Piper would not have been able to come into her own.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's just really interesting thinking about what the show would have been like.
I mean, Piper does kind of become a terrible person, but she is also my favorite character. She starts out as my favorite character, and she ends as my favorite character. It's just for way different reasons.
Yeah. Usually we're kind of aligned in this kind of stuff, but, I mean, especially doing this rewatch, I am Team Paige 100%.
I mean, the big thing with Paige is that they can never stick with a consistent story or character arc for her.
Yeah, she's finding herself, as befits the youngest sister.
I'm going to quit my job so I can be a witch full-time, but then I'm going to complain about being a witch full-time. And
I mean, you'd complain about it too if your sisters basically pressured you into quitting your job and then gave you static about it all the time.
I mean, the thing is, they didn't. They don't care about Paige. Paige's entire thing where she quit her job to become a full-time witch was entirely her choice.
Poor Paige.
Because Piper and Phoebe don't give a shit about anything Paige does ever.
Paige deserved better. And now listen, please don't take what I'm about to say as in any way defending Billy. But...
Oh, I'm also ready for Billy.
But... Paige should have joined up with Billy and Christy, and that should have been the power of 3, and then they should have defeated Phoebe and Piper, and that should have been the show's ending. I'm sorry, if you're watching the show for the first time as you listen to us, that's nonsensical, but we'll get to...
We've talked about Billy quite a bit. You know what, I'm really excited about a bunch of later stuff. I know Later Charmed is not good.
I mean, I think we're solidly in the, you know what, we're not quite in the hot mess era yet, but we're dipping our toes in the hot mess era.
We're not quite in the reality TV demons.
It's tepid clutter.
Yes. So, speaking of Phoebe's boyfriend, Jason, which we got a while ago now, Phoebe is hitting on dudes in the club, and it looks like she's cheating on Jason, but nope, she's just recruiting dudes for a bachelor auction for charity.
Yeah, for the newspaper that her boyfriend owns. This is really weird because the setup is identical to a setup they did before where it seems like she's on a date, but then she is just meeting with the guy because she was assigned to meet with the guy for her article. About
internet dating.
Right. And it seems like she's on a date, but then it turns out she's just trying to get the guy to do the bachelor auction. Like you said, to raise money for the newspaper's charity thing.
Is that actually a real thing? Has that ever actually happened? A bachelor auction? Like...
No? I'm gonna say no. It's like video dating, right? It's like video dating or art or living tableau art things. It's one of those things that TV shows love to show, but never really happened.
Yeah. or at least not to, culturally significant. Except it shows up in TV and stuff all the time. I was going to say not as a culturally significant thing, but so
we did in my high school to raise money for the senior class trip. It was a tradition that the senior class would do the senior servitude auctions. So,
oof.
Yeah.
Wait, did you go to the high school from Belinda Blanked? Yeah, that's an esoteric reference for you.
I mean, if they're listening to us, they listen to podcasts. I'm sure they're well familiar with.
Okay, My Dad Wrote a Porno is such a good podcast that I can never recommend to anyone because it is incredibly filthy. But it's so funny, and I don't know if it's just because the hosts are British, because I will admit to it, I've listened to British people do some weird stuff just because I enjoy the accents.
I mean, every single person's nightmare scenario happened to me when I was listening to the podcast My Dad Wrote a Porno, which is the Bluetooth from my headphones disconnected, and I didn't realize it, and so I was actually just listening to it through the speaker of my phone
my God.
instead of my headphones. But luckily, I was in a subway in New York City, so who cares? Right? Who cares?
I mean,
I was just the weirdo listening to My Dad Wrote a Porno loudly on the subway.
It's a really, really funny podcast. That's the thing about it, though. Because, like, despite the fact that the guy running the podcast exists, it really doesn't seem like his dad knows how sex works.
Yeah.
Like, he describes a bunch of stuff where you're like, but you've had sex before, right? Like, you have a child.
I mean, I'm not going to delve into that too much, but yes, I was just going to say that in my high school to raise money for the senior class, it wasn't even a class trip. I don't even honestly remember what we were raising money for, but it was some senior thing. But since I wasn't really involved in, like, class stuff, I was really only involved in what was going on in the theater department and not stuff that was happening on, like, a grade level.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I did participate in the auction, right? And then underclassmen bid, and then you have to, like, follow them around all day and, like, do whatever they tell you to do. And after I graduated in later years, that was, like, gotten rid of. There was some reflection, and they were like, wait, this is bad. We shouldn't do this.
Is it like when they removed all the rapey pirates from the Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah, it was kind of like that. Yeah.
Is that too harsh a descriptor for what the pirates... I don't know. The bride auction is pretty obvious at what it is. Like,
yes, the wife auction in Pirates of the Caribbean did get changed,
and
it gave us the pirate red.
Yeah, which is nice. It's a good replacement. Good on you, Walt Disney Corporation. So Phoebe successfully recruits her guy for the bachelor auction, but Paige isn't really having as much luck because her opening line, she goes up to the guy and she's like, so, hey, have you ever had any really super realistic dreams about the apocalypse?
I mean, I know she's the youngest and the least experienced, but Paige, this isn't your first rodeo. Come on.
Yeah, and Phoebe comes up and she's like, what my sister means is, would you like to be part of a bachelor auction? And the guy's like, is this a religious thing? Because I don't want to do a religious thing. It's
weird that Rose McGowan is doing this. That the writers are having Rose McGowan do this, considering her history, which I'm sure they didn't know at the time.
Oh yeah, there's no way they knew anything about her personal life.
But Rose McGowan, for those who don't know, was born into a cult, and she was never part of this because by the time she was old enough that she would have been exposed to this kind of stuff, her mom was like, no, we're out of here, and they left. But Rose McGowan was part of a cult that was known for, amongst other things, recruiting followers via sex, which was like flirting for Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was in high school,
I guess all cults kind of recruit via sex, don't they?
Yeah.
But this was a Jesus cult that was recruiting via sex.
Well, Yeah, when I was in high school, I got approached by some. I don't know. It was one of the door-to-door Christianity sects.
Christianity. Sects.
Sects. Yeah. With the CTS,
Mm-hmm,
not with
mm-hmm.
the X. But it was like an older guy, two women, and a girl who was around my age. And she didn't talk at all, but I let the conversation go on for a lot longer than I probably should have, because I was trying to figure out if she went to my school,
Mm-hmm.
because she looked so much like a girl who went to my school.
I mean, they were probably Jehovah's Witnesses. She probably did go to your school. Jehovah's Witnesses went to normal schools. Go to normal schools.
No, I went to school in a different town than the one I lived in.
Gotcha.
But I don't know, like, but I was very aware the only reason that this girl was here was,
Ah, yeah, that is weird.
because she didn't say anything. She was just there.
That's funny because it's very, like, targeted advertising.
Yeah.
But, like, absolutely barking up the wrong tree. Like, once when I opened the door to Jehovah's Witnesses and the Watchtower issue that they had, that they were, like, using that, whatever, was about how evil video games are. And I was like, oh, sister, you are at the wrong house. I feel bad for you.
Well, back when I lived in Boston, I swear we will talk about the episode. Just
We
one more
are. It's fine.
anecdote. When I lived in Boston, I used to collect Chick Tracts, which are these little religious comics you've probably seen if you live in most of the country.
I have a whole box full of Dark Dungeons, which is important because Dark Dungeons is out of print now, so it's hard to find.
Yeah. Which is weird because it's the most iconic one, although I guess it's not really what they're going for. But I used to collect them, and after a certain point, like, I'd go to Fenway, when they were having baseball games, because there were always a couple people handing them out, to people leaving. And after a certain point, they stopped giving me them, because it was clear that I was just collecting them and I was not getting the message of the Lord or whatever.
I would like to tell you as a point of pride that I was hand-given a Chick Tract. As in, like, a person who knew me gave me the one about how Catholics are evil to try to save my soul from Catholicism.
I'm sorry, the one about how Catholics are evil?
The big one, the devil cookie. Which is that's from before Jack Chick had his stroke, and the artwork really went downhill after that. But so,
I mean,
hey, it's a fact. I don't know what to tell you.
It is a factually true thing, yes.
But that's the one where you see the person receiving Eucharist, and there's, like, literally the devil standing on top of the host, like, entering into the person who's eating the Eucharist. Yeah. I still have that one, too.
I mean, for my money, the best one is the one about the little boy whose mom tells him about Santa Claus, and then when he figures out Santa Claus isn't real, he decides that God isn't real, and if God isn't real, then that means he can be God, and he goes on a killing spree.
Well, I mean, listen, it's the Strawberry Pop-Tarts of Chick Tracts, but really, there is nothing better than Dark Dungeons.
Yeah, I don't want to be Elfstar anymore. I want to be Debbie.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Dark Dungeons is it is the bar by which all other Chick Tracts are measured. Someone goofed is also fun. But enough about Chick Tracts. Paige is describing her own Jack Chick-esque visions of the apocalypse to Phoebe, and she's like, do you think it's like hormones, or do you think it's a magic thing? And Phoebe's like, I'm sure if it was a magic thing, it would be happening to me, the precognitive sister.
Oh, Phoebe.
I'm sure that it's nothing magical we have to worry about. Smash cut to gods being awoken. Awakened? Awoken.
Yes. A slightly happier looking Grumpy is...
A premonition on premonitions.
Premonition is raising the gods.
Okay. I know it's a standard thing for this sort of thing, but when has this ever gone well for anyone? When has awakening an ancient evil to do your bidding ever not immediately bit someone in the ass?
So, speaking of Chick Tracts, when I was in high school, parodies of this kind of ultra apocalypse religious cult thing was de rigueur. And I remember a tract called
Who gets devoured first?
oh my god, how did you even know I was going to say that?
Oh, come on.
You and I have never talked about this tract before.
Well, that's like the classic parody of Jack Trick, though. That's like a classic.
Okay, but listeners, we have never talked about this before. Yes, and it's about the Lovecraftian elder gods being awoken, and that the people who are devoted to them, who awaken them, will be eaten first, which is the best you can hope for. That's the thing, right? Grumpy gets killed first.
Yes. There's also a parody that has a very similar title, but it's about Galactus.
Oh, okay.
This grumpy demon awakens two of the Titans.
Yes, they came here straight from the set of Star Trek: The Original Series, where they were filming the Greek gods episode.
Yeah, I was thinking a little more Andrew's vision of him and the rest of the trio as gods.
We will be as gods. Okay, please put a pin in that for the very, very last shot of this episode.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, it's Greek Togod gods. They destroy it's a man and a woman. Clearly not Greek.
Yeah. Well, they're Titans, which is a form of God, so we're splitting hairs here. But they blow up the guy who freed them because he's like, yes, now you can make me king of the underworld. And they're like, why? And he's like, damn it, I didn't think this through.
And then after they've smote him, they get super horny about it.
Yeah. But the dude kind of throws a wet blanket, the dude god. He's like, we have to awaken him. And she's like, do we really have to awaken him?
She's like, don't we not want to wake gods up? Are you unaware of what literally just happened to the guy who woke up the gods?
Wah, wah. But yeah, no, they're gonna go wake up. It's Kronos. It's the one Titan who everyone knows.
Yeah.
From that painting that apparently they just made up the name to.
Yeah, Kronos devouring his children. Yeah. I just saw a thing about that.
Yeah, apparently it was just a freaky painting the guy made before he died, and
people are just guessing what it's supposed to be of.
It could just be someone eating a baby. Like, not everything is related to Greek and or Roman mythology.
Okay, here's my question for you.
Yes?
In the long establishing shots of San Francisco that we get, which we get now because we, smash cut to credits, have they shown Alcatraz before? Because they do in this one, and I feel like this is the first time I've seen a long shot of Alcatraz.
I think they did it in the one with the Alcatraz ghost.
Okay, that would make sense. I was gonna say it feels off for the vibe of this show, but I guess there's literally been an Alcatraz ghost, so.
Yeah. So they put a heat filter over the shots of the city, though, so you can tell that it's super hot, y'all.
Yeah, we're feeling a heat wave because it's climate change, which, yeah.
Did you know the Titans are responsible for climate change? Guess they must be riding a lot of private jets. Yes, I'm still on this, people who remember me complaining about this from last week. But yeah, apparently, I don't know if it's like a sign or it's because the Titans are here, but
yeah, it's because they mess with the natural order of things. So, heat wave. And San Francisco is usually quite temperate, so yeah, it's bad. The sisters aren't ready for it. They don't have air conditioning, which, as residents of the Pacific Northwest, we can tell you, we don't have air conditioning here. Newer homes have it, but homes that were built, 10 years ago or earlier here tended to not have central air because it only got hot for like 2 days a year. And now
not the case anymore.
Yeah, now thanks to climate change, that is no longer the case.
So Phoebe notices that Piper's being uncharacteristically cheerful and not a huge asshole for no reason. And Piper's like, yeah, baby's finally sleeping through the night, and Leo and I have started boning again. Our relationship is now in a really good place. Surely this isn't setting up something happening.
Okay.
That will tear us apart.
I know that's what's going on. But doesn't it seem weird to you that they explicitly set up that she and Leo are back to boning? And yet she's not pregnant with Chris, which would make sense. Like, it feels like they're foreshadowing a thing that not only were they not thinking of, but isn't actually what's happening. Wouldn't that make sense for her to be pregnant with Chris if she's foreshadowing that she and Leo are banging it out all the time?
I think it's just a shorthand for the fact that their relationship doesn't suck for once. Which,
I guess.
You know, I mean, I guess it's not an inaccurate thing for a married couple to be constantly fighting over nothing, but...
Listen, in my non-podcast time, as y'all know from me talking about last week, in my non-podcast time, I'm rewatching Grey's Anatomy.
Mm-hmm.
And man, on dramatic TV shows, relationships cannot get a break. It's just all work all the time. I don't know why anyone on a long-running dramatic television show would ever be in a relationship. It is way too much work.
Yeah. But it's important that we know that they're in a good place so that we can
for now.
Well, so we can be devastated when they have to stop being married because Leo's an elder. It's not going to happen until the end of next episode, but we just need to know that there are stakes and that their relationship is solid as a rock.
There's a trend on Reddit right now for various TV show subreddits to have all of the members vote on the worst thing each character has done.
Yeah.
And the worst thing Leo did was voted becoming an elder without running it by his family first or even letting them know.
Oh, God. Yeah, I know I mentioned it last time we talked about this, but hey, it's actually relevant in this episode. I don't get what they were thinking with the Leo elder plot. Like, I mean, I guess I understand what they were thinking about it, but... Like, this had to be a deeply unpopular plotline. Like, I can't imagine people liked the... Even I like the dark Leo stuff that comes out of it until we get into the boring as hell Avatar stuff. But, like, this had to have been an unpopular move. And it does kind of become the Leo show for a while.
Well, I mean, I think it explains why they backtracked on whatever their plan was with Chris, which we'll definitely unpack as we get into it.
They're also just kind of recycling a lot of the same plot points we had with Cole, which is basically why Leo inherits the Avatar's plot from him. But we'll talk about that at length. So, enough talking about Piper's uncharacteristically good marriage. Paige has woken up after another series of upsetting dreams about the end of the world. And Phoebe's suggestion is that she needs to get out of the house more.
She's like, hey, listen, you know how we're all sisters, and not just, like, magical sisters, but also, like, the charmed ones and responsible for holding back all of these demons that we seem to face every single week? Well, I think I'm having prophetic dreams about them, and Phoebe's like, oh, you need to touch grass.
And when she stalks out of the, room to go do more research and try to find out what's up, Phoebe's like, should we be worried about Paige? And Piper's like, no. I mean, I guess maybe if she goes looking for trouble, she just might find... You are witches! You are witches! If one of you is having visions of an apocalypse, assume that it's an imminent threat.
Right? Anyway, meanwhile, the Titans have gone to the Fortress of Solitude to wake up Kronos.
Yeah, the Lady Titan is like, hey, look, do we really need Kronos? Like, no one believes in magic anymore. We can do whatever the fuck we want. And the guy's like, no, if we want to get revenge on those who locked us away, we'll need his power. And she's like, will we?
Clearly this male Titan never learned that living well is the best revenge. I mean, I feel like they could have had a really great run at living in the world as it is now, but instead he had to go wake up Kronos.
Yeah, they both turn into clouds and fly into the sky and start shooting lightning bolts at the big block of ice Cronus is frozen in.
You know what? They tried. By they, I mean the show. They were really trying something.
So, Piper and Leo and baby Wyatt are at Daryl's son's birthday party.
It's nice. It's like a whole barbecue at a park. It's
Okay, I know it's come up because of the baby ghost episode. Daryl mentions it offhand. Did you at all get the impression that early Daryl was like a married family man. Like when he was hanging out with Andy and being like, this job, man.
I mean,
I guess he was barely
in
a
that
character.
he's supposed to be the Murtaugh to Andy's other one, Riggs, and Murtaugh was a family man.
Oh, I guess.
So it tracks for me. It never occurred to me that it didn't track.
I've only seen the bomb in the toilet scene. I haven't seen any of the rest of any of those movies.
Okay.
And now I don't feel like I need to.
Lethal Weapon.
Yes, Lethal Weapon. If you're curious, just look up the bomb on the toilet scene.
You don't need to.
You don't even need to do that. It's fine. It's where the line "I'm too old for this shit" comes from. So, yeah, Daryl is showing off. He does a magic trick for his son and some other kid. And Leo's like, that's what you call magic, huh?
What a dick!
Yeah, Leo is a huge asshole. So, Leo and Piper start talking to each other in... What do they call it? It's like the work or the tools.
The tools. They start talking in therapy speak. Because Leo gets a call from the elders and he's got to go. And she's like, when you leave me to go deal with world-ending crises, I feel uncared for. And he's like, thank you for sharing with me that you feel uncared for. When you prevent me from saving the world, I feel like you're being a heinous bitch.
Yeah, that is basically the exchange. So he walks off and he's like, bye, Daryl. Bye, Daryl's wife.
And Daryl's wife is like, you're in therapy. I recognize the language.
Yeah, she's like, we use the tools too. It might seem hokey, but they work. And she kind of like hip checks Daryl.
Shimmies.
But like romantically,
Yes.
And Piper's like, oh, Leo just has to go. And the wife's like, oh, no, I totally know that you're a witch and that he's a white lighter. Daryl filled me in on everything.
Yeah,
but
Daryl 100% broke the masquerade, and I'm just going to tell you that he broke the masquerade and assume there will be no repercussions.
Yeah, like, don't worry. You can trust that I won't tell anyone. I mean, apparently we can't trust that Daryl won't, though. I mean, I guess it's his wife, but...
No, that's not okay. There's not a okay, but it's his wife exemption for secrecy. Do you think he just comes home and tells her all sorts of, like, secret investigative stuff that she probably does?
Yeah.
He probably does.
I mean, despite Daryl's catchphrase, I'm a cop, Daryl doesn't really seem all that invested in his job.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets upset when it seems like he might get fired, and he gets promoted a lot, but, like, he doesn't often solve crimes.
I mean, I'm sure he's solving lots of crimes off screen that don't involve the Charmed ones. Remember, Daryl is not Andy. Andy was basically Spooky Mulder, and he was obsessed with witchcraft and, like, mysterious X-Files, okay? But Daryl doesn't care about that. Daryl's out there catching, like, pickpockets and shoplifters all over town, right? He only deals with this shit when the sisters drag him kicking and screaming into it.
Okay, I know that he said he would help them out as, like, a favor to Andy, but the one of them that Andy was dating has been dead for a while now, and I feel like you've probably helped them out infinitely more than Andy did in his 1 year on the show.
Yeah, when does that favor expire?
Yeah. We haven't hit the part where they kill him and steal his soul so they can use it to sneak into the Valkyrie afterlife training grounds.
Incidentally,
Yes.
the Charmed subreddit voted that the worst thing Paige ever did.
Well, really?
Yeah.
I mean...
Yes! I agree! Wait, what do you mean, really?
I guess, yeah.
Killing Daryl and stealing his soul without his permission? Yes, that's the worst thing Paige ever did.
I was thinking maybe the time that she kidnapped her ex-best friend's fiance and trapped her in hell so that she could shapeshift into her and sneak marry him.
That was bad, too.
But she felt guilty about it afterwards, so it's okay. I don't think they felt guilty about the Daryl thing.
No. I'm not arguing that was good. I'm just like, okay, wait, no, those are pretty close to badness levels. All right, anyway, over at the Bachelor auction.
Yeah. Phoebe doesn't know whether or not she's dating Jason or not. Jason's going to be back in town in like a month. like, is I don't understand this. Why is she acting like this is a huge thing? I mean, I guess you're barely. I don't know. The whole thing's weird. They were barely dating. Like, were they in a committed relationship to the degree they shouldn't be dating other people? Which Elise,
like, had they had the define the relationship talk, I don't think they had.
yeah. And Elise is like, hey, I know that you're dating our new boss, but he's not currently in the same city as you, so you should bone as many of these dudes as possible.
She's like, yeah, bid on a bachelor and then go bone him. And she's also like, who advises the advisors? Whereas I would be like, wait, why are we paying this woman apparently a large amount of money to give people love advice when she cannot get her own shit together?
I mean, they're paying her because people read the columns. They don't need to be good. We've discussed this before. Apparently, when she got divorced, all of her stuff was just dump him the articles for a while, and then when Piper gave birth, she was just talking about babies all the time.
Which is funny because I am in a happy and healthy marriage, and yet I feel pretty sure that if I was an advice columnist, or the reason I could never really be an advice columnist is because my advice would 99.9% of the time be dump him. Just dump him. It's not a fair sample size, though. If you're writing into a stranger to ask for love advice, I feel like dump him is usually good advice.
Well, they'd also ask you other stuff, like that elderly couple that was mad that no one had offered to sweep their to shovel their driveway, and the person answering the thing was like, okay, so let me get this straight. You haven't asked anyone to do this, but you're mad that no one's assumed that it's something that needs to be done and then offered their time to you.
Or that woman who lived in the rich neighborhood who was mad that all the poor kids were coming in trick-or-treating in her neighborhood.
Oh my god. What an asshole.
That's my favorite. It's my favorite genre of advice column, by the way.
People who are clearly in the wrong but don't know it.
Yes. Oh my god, like the woman who was mad that her daughter's best friend was going to be her maid of honor because her daughter's best friend was disabled and she thought it would look weird to have somebody who had a disability on like stand up with her daughter.
Yeah, I remember the advice columnist thing for that too. Now take a step back from the situation and look at what you were doing. Is this something a villain in a Reese Witherspoon movie would do?
Yes. Yes. I think that was Daniel Lavery when he was Dear Prudence.
Yeah.
Oh. Anyway, back to terrible advice columnists. Phoebe is,
yeah, she's in a weird relationship limbo, but she doesn't have time to worry about that because Paige just orbed into the room and, maybe people would see and it would be a thing.
Okay.
Like, it's a legitimate concern.
No, Phoebe's right. Yeah, Phoebe's right to be like, what the hell?
It's just, like, Leo orbs out in front of people all the time and orbs in front of people all the time.
Does he?
Remember when he was having that conversation with Victor where he comes out as a white lighter by orbiting away in the middle of a conversation? When they were in the middle of a diner?
Yeah, I do remember that, actually. Huh. Yeah.
I mean, no, it should be a bigger thing. You shouldn't be teleporting in and out of public spaces, but...
Well, apparently also everybody just tells their significant other who the witches are, so there's no masquerade anymore. The cleaners have completely failed.
Well, also the thing about the Charmed Ones having secret identities is why? Like, the main reason you have a secret identity as a superhero is so that villains don't come after your loved ones, but all the demons already know where you live.
No, they're I'm sorry, do you not remember? We had a whole episode about it. They're secret because if they came out, they'd all be burned at the stake.
Okay, fair.
Also, if they came out, then,
You had a Wiccan funeral for Prue. Like, you're not being subtle about it.
Yeah. But also, I mean, you don't want Ash coming and killing you.
Like, Oh, right. I really wish they had done more with the witch hunter thing. That would have been cool.
That would have been cool. The tagline for Charmed. So, remember, there's a heat wave, but Paige shows up with parkas for her and Phoebe.
Yes, because she has been consulting runes. She's been doing tarot cards.
She cast Yi Jing. What? It's a Chinese divination.
Ah.
She says it. It's one of the ones she lists.
I was going to do the whole, like, she cut open a goat and was looking at its organs thing.
Sure,
Which, grosser and not what she actually said. But, you know, she's been doing practical precog activities as opposed to, I don't know, passive?
Okay.
Active, rather. You know, my thing where I call it practical magic, but it's really ritual magic, which I feel like Charm kind of underutilizes.
Except with Paige.
I guess she's not the one who came up with the crystal cage, because I'm pretty sure.
But she's the one who utilizes it the most.
Yeah, she made it a mainstay of the show.
Yeah, I feel like we see Paige doing, you know, ritual magic more than anyone else. It's funny because Paige really comes on in the era when Constance and Burge has been pushed out, but Paige is the one who I feel like is the most Wiccan of the witches.
Yes. But she has divined that some weird, bad, magical shit happened in the Arctic, so they have to go there now.
Yeah, okay, so she's bringing Phoebe with her, because even though she's already done all the heavy lifting, she's like, I guess I better bring Phoebe to get a premonition. Girl, you do not... Phoebe is dead weight to you at this point.
They walk past 2 giant holes in the ice wall.
I feel like something happened here.
Yeah. Phoebe takes off her glove and she touches the ashes where they blew up the demon, and she has a premonition, except not... Like, she does the premonition face, but they don't cut to anything. She's just like, oh, I saw it. 2 really large people bust out of those 2 really large people-shaped holes in the ice wall.
Well, I mean, I guess we can assume she had a past premonition, and that it's all the stuff we already saw, and they probably just cut it for time. That's what I assume happened.
I guess you could have cut those opening. You could have cut.
There was a pretty long establishing shot of San Francisco. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, and it's all footage you already shot anyway. You just do a black and white filter over it. But yeah, no, she's foreseen big evil coming. And speaking of big evil, hello Brian Thompson, and hello Brian Thompson's nipple.
Yeah, Brian Thompson is Kronos.
Yeah, Brian Thompson is Kronos, and unlike the other...
What would you say he's most known for?
I'd say... Shouldn't we save this for...
You're the one who brought him up. I just didn't want our listeners to be in the dark.
Okay, you might know him from being the bad guy in literally everything.
But like the big bulk, like he's like angry biker dude is 90% of his IMDb listings.
Yeah, he's the big tough guy. He will come back for premonitions, believe you me. But
actually, I have a different premonition.
For him?
No, a different guest star I have a premonition for, and it's not Grumpy either.
Yeah, we're kind of spoiled for choice here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do appreciate that. Unlike the other male Titan, he has decided to have one of his tits out because, you know, Greek.
Anyway, back at the manor.
Yes, back at the manor, the weather has normalized, I guess, because Cronus being freed would do that somehow.
There's like less chaos now that there's 3 of them. I don't know.
So they're in the attic. Phoebe's wrapped in a blanket, being a huge dramatic baby because she's still cold from being in the Arctic. I mean, I feel like magic might have been the way to go to stay warm in the Arctic instead of a parka you got at, you know, REI.
I mean, they were just running in and out.
So Leo orbs in and he's like, a white lighter's gone missing. And Phoebe's like, from a dark lighter, the one thing that can kill white lighters. And Leo's like, actually, it turns out other stuff can kill white lighters. I just didn't want to mention it until now.
Well, they're like, are you sure that this white lighter is gone? Like something bad happened? Maybe they just got fucking sick of being a white lighter. They're like, you know, we've seen some white lighters die, but we've also seen a lot of white lighters just decide they are sick of this shit.
But Phoebe's like, oh, apocalyptic visions, giant people-shaped holes that are empty, a white lighter's gone missing. You know what? This is bigger than one missing white lighter. I better cancel that bachelor auction. This is the important thing right now, Phoebe.
But actually the important thing is that Piper and Leo need to go to marriage counseling.
Yeah, and Paige is like, well, we don't know what the thing that we need to say a rhyming couplet at is yet, so why don't you just go for, like, the hour that marriage counseling takes, and then, you know...
But first, Leo needs to go back to Whitelighter Land and inform them that the Charmed Ones have decided in their position as the Charmed Ones to inform the elders that they need to put the Whitelighters on lockdown and tell the Whitelighters they can't orb anymore. This is weird to me, okay? Okay, this is working backwards. They're telling the Whitelighters not to orb because reasons, and we will find out later that the Titans are tracking the Whitelighters' orbing powers because, like warlocks, they can steal powers, and they need
everyone can steal powers,
and they need to steal the orbing power, so that's what they're tracking. So anytime a Whitelighter orbs, they can sense it. But there's no reason for Phoebe to know that when she tells Leo to go up and tell his bosses what to do. But he does that anyway. I feel like it worked backwards from the conclusion instead of showing them arriving at it logically.
Whatever. It gets us to the next plot thing. Leo goes up to Whitelighter Land where they're using that clicky language they used in the episode with Natalie.
Yeah.
And they've got the dumbass robes from the episode with Natalie. But Leo runs up to...
Leo's wearing a mint polo shirt. I mean...
It is a choice.
Let's not talk about dumbass robes.
He runs up to the friendly older black elder who's like a father to Leo. This is not the last time we will see a friendly older black elder who's like a father to Leo. And spoiler alert, it does not end particularly well for either of them.
But this one doesn't even get a premonition. The other one will.
Yeah. Yes. But Leo's like, hey, so someone's hunting Whitelighters, presumably to, like, come up to Whitelighter Land and murder everyone, like that one warlock tried to do that one time. In the episode with Natalie.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they weren't exactly spoiled for choice for Whitelighter lore stuff.
So Leo says that the Charmed Ones think all the Whitelighters should be on lockdown, and the Elders agree, so that's the plan now.
Yeah. No one can orb, except Leo.
Well, Leo can orb back, and then that's it! No more orbing after that!
There's a kind of snarky elder who's like, he's just a Whitelighter, why should we listen to him? And, you know, the mentor father figure to Leo's like, no, I sense greatness in this young man that we have to foster, and we do have faith in you, Leo. So the snarky elder points out, like, because Leo's like, yeah, one of my charges is having prophetic dreams, and the elder's like, is it the one with precognitive powers? And Leo's like, no.
That's the joke I was gonna make.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's obvious. Jesus Christ, Phoebe. Are you not embarrassed, Phoebe? Are you not embarrassed? In this episode, in a single scene, you had Elise giving you love advice and being like, it's weird, you're the advice columnist, and here I am giving love advice. And in that same scene, you had Paige orb in and be like, hey, I've been doing precog shit. Like, how are you not more embarrassed, Phoebe? She has no shame. She's like the Anna Delvey of the Charmed Ones.
We just finished watching Inventing Anna. It's good. You should watch it. It's basically 9 short movies.
Yep.
But yeah, Leo's gonna go down and help the Charmed Ones. Although the Elder's like, hey, look, if we all get murdered by, like, Titans or whatever, Like, he has this line about how, you know, we can't subvert destiny. We just have to accept that destiny's gonna destiny.
Anyway, Leo was too late. Down on Earth, some Whitelighter has just orbed to heal her charge, and the
little late on the draw on that one. Like that witch is in trouble.
I mean, I don't know what to say.
I can help you when you're actively dying, but if you're not actively dying, I will not show up.
Actually, I do know what to say. What I do know what to say is that the Titan, the female Titan, uses some sort of I-beam to turn this Whitelighter to stone even though she is not Medusa, but does have a name that starts with M to imply that it's like Medusa, but it's not Medusa.
Dear Lord.
And also her gaze can turn people to stone, but only when she wills it, not as like a punishment all the time.
Yes. Also, she's got weather powers. They all kind of have weather powers.
The portfolio's kind of weird.
Yeah, we're just all over the map here. So, she, having turned the White Lighter to statue, therefore absorbing her orbing, she bamps back to the other two Titans, and she's like, well, I have 2 orbing powers, but I didn't manage to get a third because the White Lighters are on high alert now, so, guess maybe just 2 of us should pop up to White Lighter Land and murder everyone?
I like that she's like, tell you what, you 2 go. I'll just chill here. And then come back when you've got a third orb for me. And they're like, what if we don't get a third orb? And she's like, you know what, you guys can handle it. You guys take care of it. I'm just going to chill. I respect this. I respect this Titan.
Yeah. So she brings out the statues of the 2 White Lighters, and the Titans absorb the orbs out of the statues.
Which is apparently the only thing that was holding them together?
I guess that makes sense. White Lighter bodies are just made of orbs.
You know what? I was mocking it, but you totally sold me.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. Wait, which raises the question, because in a few minutes, Paige is going to get turned to stone. If they had sucked the orb power out of Paige, would she have dissolved like they did? Because she's a human. She's got, like, humanity holding her together. She's not a White Lighter.
And they suck the orbs out, and she's like half a person.
Well, I mean, she just wouldn't have her orbing power anymore.
And she's like...
She's
because
not...
she's half White Lighter, so they just take out, like... She'd be like Hela, where there's only half a person.
But she's not dead, right? Like, White Lighters are dead.
She's half dead on her dad's side.
She's half dead on her dad's side.
Speaking of being half dead on your dad's side, Wyatt is at couples counseling with his parents.
He's a baby, it's fine.
Yeah. But Piper's like, so... And Leo's like, yeah, it's looking pretty apocalypsy. Think we might have an apocalypse on our hands. Full lockdown for White Lighters. And Piper's like, is this going to get in the way of our normal life stuff? And Leo's like, I don't know, probably.
Leo's like, this is our normal life. Piper's like, well, it is the end of the season.
She's like, look, things finally got back to my favorite word, normal. And like, I felt like we were safe. Demons were only occasionally trying to murder us. Like, I don't know. I have this feeling of dread. Like, I can sense something bad is about to happen. I can sense something is about to happen that will upend our entire relationship. And Leo's like, okay, so everyone is seeing the future in this episode except Phoebe. Everyone has precognition now.
Ask Phoebe, becoming more and more ironic, a title by the moment.
So Paige finds the entry in the Book of Shadows on Titans, and she's like, cool, we're just going to have to face down some gods. What is this? Season 5 of Buffy. Oh my god, what is this Season 5 of Buffy?
I mean, it's not at all. Chris is no Ben.
I mean, wouldn't Chris be more, one of those night guys?
Oof. Yeah, I guess Chris is a... Yeah, okay.
But, yeah, Paige is like, wait, if they're trying to, like, apparently in this universe, instead of Zeus sealing them away, the elders sealed them away.
Well, no.
But by giving mortals godlike powers, they allowed mortals to seal the Titans away.
Yeah, we don't get this exposition yet, but that is what happened. So it was Zeus. It's just that Zeus was immortal before he was Zeus. And then the god... I'm just going to give the rest of the exposition since we already started it.
Yes.
So basically, the elders gave a bunch of mortals god powers so that the gods were able to defeat the Titans. And then the gods were like, hey, fuck the elders. We're fucking gods. And the elders were like, you know what? Let's not give humans god powers again.
Yeah, bad move.
Yeah.
So, Paige's plan, she has mixed up potions more powerful than the ones we use to vanquish the source.
Okay, well, you didn't even vanquish the source in this timeline, Paige. It happened in a different timeline.
No, she did. the OG Source and Cole when he was the Source.
It was in a different timeline.
No, that was when Cole was Balthazar again.
Oh, God. Okay, you're right.
No, I totally remembered I totally remembered Cole's final vanquish as him being the Source in the alternate timeline.
No, you're right. He was, yeah, okay. Anyway.
Yeah, anyway, so she's gonna orb in place, and,
The Titans, attracted to her orbing because they need to steal orbs, will show up and try to kill her, but it's okay. They've got powerful potions because Paige is rocking the ritual magic. She's rocking the, like, basic, down and dirty, scrying with crystals, telling the future with cards, and defeating people with herbs.
I mean, potions are, like, the one piece of ritual magic that the Charmed ones...
consistently do.
Yes. But, yes, these super powerful potions are going to be enough to take out gods, because that's just...
More powerful... I guess they're equal to gods, or... Anyway, yeah.
Yes. So, Paige orbs in place to attract the Titans. The Lady Titan, who is the one who stayed behind, is the one who shows up to, attempt to stonify Paige. God, that... She does this weird, like, tornado teleport. It's so bad. She starts to stonify Paige. Phoebe throws one of the potions, and then, for her trouble, gets telekinetically tossed into a table. And then...
The pages... Wait, first of all, the potions do nothing. The potions do nothing!
Yes.
And then...
And then Chris orbs in. Chris with his spiky hair and his dumbass sunglasses.
He's like, don't look at her eyes!
And he starts whipping potions at her. He whips, like, a dozen potions, and she's finally like, you know what? I'm too rich to deal with this, and she teleports out of the room.
But unfortunately, Paige has been turned to stone.
Wah wah.
Paige is stoned.
It's fine. She was just coated in clay in that one episode, but, we've been here before. So, Phoebe's, like, clutching her stone feet and crying, and Chris is like, oh my god, shut up, she's fine. I mean... She's not fine, obviously. She's a statue, but she's...
But in my timeline, have I mentioned yet that I'm from the future? I like that he doesn't play with this. He's just like...
He drops it immediately. He's like, hey, look, I'm from the future where the Titans, blew up everything and everything sucks forever now. So I'm here to change that. Hi, I'm Chris.
He says, in my timeline, Paige died doing this, so we're already ahead of the game.
And Piper walks into the attic and she sees the statue and she's like, please tell me that is a good likeness of Paige.
It's not. It's not a good likeness of Paige.
Nope.
Okay. Pause for a second. Okay, I'm so sorry. We have to get into this. Chris is from the future. That much they knew.
Yes.
Maybe they weren't even going to go with... Maybe they were going to go with that being a lie.
Also possible.
Okay. But he says that in his timeline, this is when Paige dies. But that's a lie, right? Because he's not there to save them from the Titans. This is just him getting in good with them so that he can stop the real thing he's there to stop, which is Wyatt turning evil. So, my theory based on where the story went and then kind of retconning it over what's happening in this episode, is that this is just some story that Aunt Paige told him, and he was like, ooh, I'll pop in during that time, and I'll be like, oh, this is the thing I was here to stop, and then they'll, like, instantly trust him.
Okay, so I know this is not the explanation, but given the way that time travel works in Charmed, it is entirely possible that was the original reason Chris got sent back in time. I know it's not. I know he's just lying here. But this could have been the original reason he was sent back in time. Then when he altered the timeline so that Paige didn't die during this, it made things worse or bad in a different way in the future, and that's why he was sent back in time. Because Charmed, as we discussed at length, does not work in a branching timeline theory of time travel universe.
Yeah.
If you go back to the past and change something, that's the one timeline now. So I do like the idea that Chris could theoretically spend, like, he could fix hundreds of problems that were the reason that he traveled back in time, but since time abhors a vacuum, there will always be a reason why he had to travel back in time.
There's a card game called Chrononauts.
Yes.
and the way you play is you lay out the timeline, the history of the world, the real history of the world, right? The cards all have like actual historical events on them. And you are a time traveler and you can flip the cards, and flipping them changes the timeline. There's only the one timeline though, and the goal is you're all time travelers from different time periods and you're trying to get back to your timeline, so you try to flip it to make the timeline where you came from. Right? So yeah, and so that's how it would be. Like as you flip those, yeah, it's the one timeline. Okay. As a time travel aficionado, I'm on board for this. The idea that Chris's mission is ever changing because he's constantly changing his own timeline.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. You know, I'm so on board for this right now.
Yeah, I don't know if that's anywhere close to the explanation they give, because I know
they have no explanation.
Well, I know he has to say something when he helps them defeat the Titans next episode, and yet is still around for the whole next season.
Okay, but I'm so on board for this. Okay, moving on.
So Piper's like, okay, new guy, what's his deal? And Phoebe, in possibly the one accurate moment of knowing the future, says, I don't know.
You're so mean. We're so mean to Phoebe this episode.
Okay, that is a warm-up. I'm going to say some very, in the words of Dan Olson, I'm going to say some very cruel things because the facts are prima facie cruel.
Yes.
But that will be later. So, Chris immediately infodumps all over them. He's like, look, I'm from the future. The Titans take over everything. They're going to go up to White Lighter Land and kill everyone. So, like, maybe get Leo on that.
He does not tell them that yet.
Okay. Yes. It's important that he doesn't. Yes.
Because I also theorize that maybe him destroying all the White Lighters was his original plot. Like, originally, the writers thought that Chris might be somebody who was a demon who had a way to destroy all the White Lighters.
Yeah, he's like, look, I came back here to save Paige, which I did. I know she's a statue, but she's not dead. She was going to be the third victim. And Piper's like, I thought only one White Lighter had gone missing. And Leo orbs in and he's like, a second White Lighter has gone missing, which, great timing on his part.
Honestly, it's a good way to prove you're from the future.
Yeah.
I mean, although that only proves you're from an hour in the future. But still impressive.
Yeah, Leo's like, there's an emergency. Okay, A, another White Lighter went missing, and B, there's an emergency downstairs. Let's all go downstairs and leave our baby upstairs with this mysterious stranger none of us know.
I mean, their baby has, like, force fields and shit.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of Buffy Season 5, all of the people that they've met throughout the season have gathered in the Manor because shit's going down, the Titans are wreaking havoc, and everybody decided the safest place is Halliwell Manor. Okay.
Yeah. Because the natural world has been thrown into chaos due to the presence of the Titans, all of the mystical people who have had one episode over the course of this season have shown up. We've got leprechauns. We've got the seven dwarves. We've got the elven nanny.
That's basically it.
Yeah.
Oh, fairies. There are fairies.
There's fairies. There's a nymph.
I didn't notice the nymph.
Yeah, well.
But I believe you.
I mean, they're really not breaking the budget on mystical people. It's a lot of just people wearing very cheap green costumes. There's possibly the only dude oracle we ever get who's just a massively built shirtless dude holding an orb and a sword, which I want to know more about what's going on with this dude. Like, why the orb and the sword? Why not? Shirtless?
Why not?
If your thing is being an oracle, why are you very jacked?
I mean, just because you can see the future doesn't mean that you can't have a life outside of seeing the future.
Every time I have a vision of the future, I do one push-up.
Oh. But unlike Buffy Season 5, all of these people being gathered together isn't really going to affect their plan for taking out the Titans.
Yeah, it's meaningless. It's just like, oh, look, the magical community is gathered at the House of the Charmed Ones because they're so special or whatever. So, the Lady Titan jupes back to where Brian Thompson and the other guy are, And she's like, so some witches are kind of aware of us and tried to kill me.
Oops.
Yeah, and Brian Thompson's like, okay, well, that's not great, but we're still planning on just murdering everyone, right? Why don't we just go up and murder everyone? And the woman's like, I don't know if that's such a good idea. Ah! Burning to death because he just burns her to death.
Yep. Yep.
Guy's like, dude, that was my girlfriend. And Brian Thompson's like, I'm your girlfriend now.
Back at the manor, everything is chaos.
Yep. Piper mixes up one of the 7 dwarves and a leprechaun, which is not... It's not great. It's not great. It's not great.
Also, the reason the Oracle is shirtless is so that Phoebe can be like, ooh, check out that guy's orb.
Boo. She also almost crushes a fairy in the door, which I feel like is kind of a reference to that, because the original episode with fairies had a big thing about in-between places, although you weren't supposed to go into in-between places because that's where goblins could get you.
Uh-huh.
Also, you could only see fairies if you
Yeah,
were
I was going to bring that up. Yeah, none of them should be able to see these fairies. Whatever.
So, the elven nanny's like, hi, I'm going to take care of your baby while you go murder the Titans so that, you know, we all don't die in a horrible blaze of goddish hellfire.
And Piper's like, we didn't hire you. And the nanny's like, no, I chose not to work for you. I'm the best. You obviously would have hired me. I just didn't want to work for your ass, but whatever.
And Phoebe's like, did she just hire herself? And Piper's like, that's really not important right now.
Also, yes, she totally did.
Yeah, which, you know.
Listen, if a very competent elven nanny shows up and says she's going to take care of your child.
She walked into that house, she drew a penis on the whiteboard, and she fired the first 2 people who spoke.
You know, I should have known that you were going to do a Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23 reference, because I totally thought you were going to be like, she flew in on an umbrella. And she had the kid's torn up note. Obviously, you hire her.
So Piper goes upstairs because she realized that she left her baby with some guy they don't know. But instead, he's could not be less interested in the baby. He is flipping through the Book of Shadows. And she's all, why are you touching my family's sacred tomb?
And he's all, okay, but you know that evil people can't touch... Yes. But he's all, you know that evil people can't touch it, and I'm touching it, so it's fine. And she's like,
look, I can lick it.
She's like, I don't know what kind of future magics you have. Maybe you can touch it because you're from the future.
Oh, God, like that episode with the warlock from the future.
I think that's a good point. I feel like Piper's making a good point. And also planting the seeds of doubt within us, the audience. Is Chris a good guy or not?
Yeah. And Chris explains the whole thing about how, like, look, last time the Titans came, the elders used their power to turn mortals into gods to fight them, but it went to their heads, and then the elders had to, like, send
knock
them to
down
puppy
a notch.
heaven.
Sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, you might need god power to defeat the Titans, but maybe you won't. Don't worry about it. Probably won't come up again.
What was Chris's plan? No, seriously, what was Chris's plan?
His plan was to get the Charmed One's god powers so that they could kill the Titans.
But didn't that happen in his timeline? He has nothing to do with them getting god powers.
Well, he doesn't tell Leo so that Leo... I don't know. Whatever. Phoebe has brought up a leprechaun and one of the 7 dwarves to unstatuefy Paige because luck and magic pickaxe.
Okay, I'm totally okay with this because the 7 dwarves have experience with people who are magically, like, I mean, being turned to stone is not the same thing as being under a magical sleep spell, but I still feel like it's applicable skills.
Yeah, being turned to stone is a real fairy tale thing. Like, yeah. It's fine.
No, I'm totally cool with it. I mean, if they had dealt with somebody who was like a basilisk expert earlier this season, that would be more appropriate, but they didn't. They dealt with fucking fairy tales, so here we are.
So, Leo's watching the Elven Nanny with Wyatt, and she, like, magically puts a blanket on him, and he's like, how did you know he was cold? And she's like, I'm not shitty at my job. which, fair.
I can feel the atmosphere around me and tell that it's cold.
So Leo orbs up to Whitelighterland, and Piper has this very dramatic look on her face when he goes.
She looks like the concerned hamster meme.
She does look like the concerned hamster meme. And Leo is Troy bringing in the pizzas.
Yep, he was just in Whitelighterland like 10 minutes ago, and somehow all of the Whitelighters have been killed.
And more importantly, the elders.
Yes, more importantly, the elders. What's funny about this to me is that we keep seeing the Titans talk about how they're going to get revenge on their captors, and they have this whole plan to kill Whitelighters and steal their orbing power so they can go get revenge on the elders. And that all happens off screen, and they're totally 100% successful.
Well, not 100%. They killed...
You're right.
They killed, 90% of the elders.
And you know what? That 10% that they failed to kill will be their downfall.
Yeah, will be really, really annoying for the rest of us in the future.
Maybe they shouldn't have blasted not Medusa.
Yeah, they could have had an 100% kill rate. So, Phoebe approaches Chris, and she's like, so, do you want to give us more information about the future? And he's like, no, not really. And she's like, but
should I marry Jason or not? Because
Oh
that's
my
what
God.
I'm really concerned about.
Oh my God.
He's like, okay, I know that you're not really good at seeing the future for some reason, but you already know that your husband has a name that starts with a C, so clearly Jason is not the person you should be with.
Piper storms into the room and she's like, shut up, Phoebe. Chris, I can sense that something is wrong. A little preview of Phoebe's other superpower coming. I can sense that something is wrong. I know you're not telling us shit. Go up to Whitelighterland and get Leo. And Chris is like, I think he's gonna need some alone time. Get it? Because everyone up there's dead. And Piper's like...
He's like, sorry, future humor.
Piper's like, please go get my husband.
So Chris goes up to Whitelighterland.
He's like, boy, it sure is corpsey up here. He is the massive amount of disrespect he has for all of these people who are just horribly murdered.
Leo starts screaming at him. He's like, you're from the future. Why didn't you tell me about this? Which is a fair question.
And Chris does not say, because then you would have just come up here and gotten your ass murdered.
No, he's like, it had to happen like this for what's to come.
Get used to that.
Time travelers are so fucking annoying sometimes.
Not Rachel Summers. She just came back in time and she's like, fuck it, my timeline sucks. I'm going to ruin as much stuff as possible.
Yeah. Everybody's so precious with their timeline. Whatever.
So Chris is like, Leo, I'm going to need you to get on your big boy pants, go into the back room, fetch the god power from the back, and give it to the sisters so that they can kill the Titans.
Ironically, Leo's big boy pants are an elder robe.
God. And he's like, you orchestrated all of this, didn't you? You made it so that I would have to take this new position. And Chris is like,
sure.
Yeah, like, whatever it takes to get you to do the thing, dude. Like, I don't know what you're expecting me to say here. Like, you need to step up into a position of authority because basically everyone who, could is dead or in hiding. You need to be the guy now.
I mean, here's my thing. Chris has already told them that in his timeline, Paige was killed by the Titans. Once he prevents Paige from being killed, can't we just assume that from that point on, everything's going to unfold differently than it did in his timeline? From that point on, you can't really expect him to have future knowledge.
Yeah, true.
Everybody's being weirdly both too unfair to Chris and too trusting of Chris simultaneously. Somehow they're doing both things wrong.
Get ready for that to stay for the rest of Chris's run on this show. Like, the weird thing where no one trusts him and yet they just let him do whatever he wants all the time. So the leprechaun and the dwarf successfully work in unison to free Paige.
Off screen.
No, it happens on screen.
I guess I'm sorry, you're right. The de-stonification happens on screen. It's just, it feels like the problem solving happened off screen. Like, the death of all the elders happens off screen. Like, the figuring out how to keep Paige from being stoned happened off screen. It feels like this episode is just moving a lot of pieces around without showing us any action. Because they all just want to get to this final scene.
Yeah. Piper talks more, like, Piper's sitting in the corner and she's like, I have this awful feeling that Leo's not coming back. I feel like I can see the future and that whatever is happening up there is changing Leo in a way that will negatively affect our relationship. I don't know. It's just a feeling I can't shake. What's he doing up there? And the dwarf comes in and he's like, so we're all leaving now. Like, the elders have gone into hiding. Like, it's looking like it's a good time for us to all keep our heads down. And honestly...
You can't... Okay, I'm sorry, you go first.
Well, honestly, none of us have faith that you can keep us safe.
Then why did you come here in the first place? I'm not saying they're wrong, but why did they come in the first place then?
So everyone... Yeah, no one has faith in the Charmed Ones. So Chris is just chilling out in a room full of corpses when Leo comes out of the back room in his elder robes. And Chris is like, you ready? Leo opens up a pythos. Is that what they're called? Those, like, Greek jar things?
Sure. I have no idea.
He opens up a Greek jar thing, and some white divine smoke comes spilling out of it. And Piper's like, Leo, for God's sake. And
Boo.
yeah. And Chris orbs down. He's like, so...
Leo sends Chris down to let the girls know what's going on, because even though they will be as goddesses, they won't understand what that means unless Chris shows up and tells them.
Which he doesn't. He's like, Leo's giving you tools that you will need to fight the Titans. And they're like, what? He's like, you'll see in like 2 minutes. And divine white light shoots down from the sky and kerblorfs the sisters into goddess costumes. They're goddesses now. Paige has a Triton. Phoebe has long blonde hair. And Piper is wearing a toga.
They're all wearing togas, which is why I wanted to pull the pin out of the scene in Buffy where Andrew visualizes what Warren means when he says we will be as gods, and it's them frolicking in a field dressed in togas. It's like, that's a very specific thing. Like, the Greek gods dress like that because they were Greek, not because they were gods. You don't need... But I guess... whatever, it's shorthand. It's fine. Whatever.
Yes. The Charmed Ones are now as gods.
Yes.
We are as gods. But yeah, spoiler alert for next episode. Paige is the goddess of war. Phoebe's the goddess of love.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. And Piper is the goddess of nature. Okay.
Because she's a mother.
Shouldn't she be the goddess of, like, blowing shit up? She's the goddess of being really, really pissed off all the time.
Anyway, to be continued.
To be continued.
It's weird how this is a two-parter. It feels like it didn't need to be a two-parter. Like, it didn't need to take an entire episode to get us to.
There was a lot of farting around.
Yeah. Like, Chris shows up so late into the episode.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we could have cut. But, I mean, I guess this season opened with a two-parter, so it might as well close with one, too.
Sure. And, it didn't feel too long. And I was happy through it. Like, I wasn't bored watching the episode.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Mostly because I was just so happy to get Chris.
Yay, Chris.
All right, so...
Are we going to have to talk about the elephant in the room with Chris?
Which is that how wooden and terrible his acting is?
Yeah. Okay.
It's so terrible and wooden.
We love Chris. We both love Chris. The thing is, Drew Fuller is a very, very pretty man.
But aren't there a lot of pretty men in Hollywood?
Good Lord, can he not act? It is painful to watch. And I love him so much. We love Chris, but Drew Fuller has, like, Ben Stein levels of emoting.
It seems rude though to criticize his terrible, terrible acting when I love him so much and I love what he brings to the show so much.
Yeah. His Chris is a genuinely terrible person, which we'll get the chance to talk about it a lot, but yeah, okay. That is it for this episode. Like the Charmed ones, we have our own power of 3. The first power in our pack is Premonition, who in this episode is, was, or will become famous. Well, Drew Fuller's in this episode. You might know him from his role as Chris on Charmed. You might also know the demon who freed the Titans as the guy who played Grumpy, who was one of the 7 dwarves on Once Upon a Time. Grumpy. Lee Ehrenberg. He plays this sort of character a lot.
And I was going to mention Lisa Thornhill, who plays not Medusa, but Meta. Meta is that character's name. The female Titan.
Like Medea?
No, like metatextual. Like above, META.
Oh. Huh. I don't remember enough about the Titans to know if that was a thing. I'm assuming it was. They usually get names right, although everything else wrong.
Yeah, but she's also Celeste Kane, Amanda Seyfried's mom, in Veronica Mars.
Oh.
Yes, so I was excited to see her there.
The same Veronica Mars that has Charisma Carpenter.
That's true, it does.
And, of course, Brian Thompson as Cronus, who you might know as being Luke, the big scary vampire from the first 2 episodes of Buffy, the little mini boss that she has to defeat before, really getting into the series.
I mean, doesn't he kill Jesse? Or turn Jesse?
He does. He kills the most important character in Buffy canon. You might also remember him from Charmed, because he was already in Charmed. He was War in the episode with the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. But, you can reuse Brian Thompson.
Oh, yeah, you totally can. He reminds me of the kind of large, bulky actors who play a lot of demons and things under makeup, so who cares? Except that...
I'm pretty sure he was also the judge in Buffy.
Oh, okay. That would make sense.
Yeah, because, he played a vampire and then he played a demon who wore a lot of makeup and was a really big guy, so...
Yeah, there you go.
The judge, that was someone who was built up to. Actually, not really. He just sort of showed up, but then he was there for a few episodes and it was cool. I think that might do it for Premonitions.
I think that's it for Premonitions.
We'll move to the second power in our pack, Time Freeze. What specifically dates this episode?
I feel like I want to say Bachelor Auctions.
Yeah, I feel like that's less of a thing in media these days. It was a plot point in a lot of stuff for a while there. It showed up in fiction a lot. But
I think there are a lot of things in fiction that existed as plot points, like Bachelor Auctions, video dating, all this stuff that we just generally realized aren't real things, and so they stopped being plot points on television.
Yes, so I think Bachelor Auction is firmly the thing that...
Yeah.
And that will take us to the final power in our pack. Telekinesis. What, if anything, genuinely moved you?
I mean, I was genuinely excited to see Chris.
I was too.
When Chris bamfs in there to save Phoebe, yeah.
And he's got those stupid sunglasses. He's got these yellow futury sunglasses, which he immediately throws off his face and never wears again.
No. He put the sunglasses on specifically to protect himself from Meta's eye beams.
Oh. Okay, you know what? Yeah, okay, I thought they were just to make him look all futury. Like the antennas and Mom's robots from Mom's Friendly Robot Company from Futurama. But no, that's smart. All right, way to go, Charlie. You know what? I'm giving you points there. Smart.
Also, it might be a little early to do this, but I think we have a secret power.
Ooh. Much like the Charmed ones, our powers have grown over time. Which secret power?
I mean, like I said, it might be a little early to bring this up, but it's got to be molecular combustion.
Oh my god, there's so much continuity stuff here. Putting aside the, really basic stuff, like everyone being able to see fairies, even though only children can see fairies. Chris should not have powers. That was
what I was going to bring up, yeah. And that's why I didn't know if I should bring it up before we know who he is. But yeah.
No, he says he's from the future right off the bat. Like,
Yeah.
if you go back to a period in time before you have powers, you don't have powers. Like, he clarifies that he's not that from the future, but, like, even then, like...
Yeah, he says he's from about 20 years in the future, this 20-year-old guy.
So, yes, Chris should not have powers. And I feel like they go a while not addressing that he has powers, even though he shouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, this has my big molecular combustion.
Yes.
Although, yeah, you're right. The fairy thing, too. That should bother me more. Doesn't really bother me that much, but a little bit. Bothers me a little bit.
Also, everyone having premonitions except Phoebe.
No, that's just hilarious.
Yeah, no, that's just funny.
I just love that. But you know what? I feel like this was a solid episode.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I know we spent a lot of time goofing on it, and there's a lot to goof on, but it's fun. It's a fun episode.
And I'm really excited to sit down and watch now and then talk about part 2.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's part 2, which is what we'll talk about next time.
Where they actually get their god powers, and everyone's too angry, horny, and Piper to actually get around to killing the Titans.
Hilarious.
All right, so that'll about do it.
Yeah, that'll about do it. Our show is partially listener supported. If you want to be one of those supporters, head to our website, www.welcometotelevision.net, and click on our Patreon link. Our current $5 and above patrons are Beryl, Patricia, Rosa, Ryan, Maricruz, Benjamin, Kate, Jen, Dan, and Anthony.
If you'd like to support the show in other ways, you could always rate and review us on Apple Podcast. It helps other people find the show.
If you want to talk about this episode or any episode of any television show, you can tweet at us at ILoveTVZines or email us at ilovetelevisionzines@gmail.com.
So until next time, I'm Max.
And I'm Tina.
And this has been Welcome to the Halliwell Manor.